Hey everybody, Dishadar here, and excuse me. This video is talking about interfaith dating. Oh gosh, I should have a sound effect going dun dun dun. Unfortunately, I don't feel like doing all that extra video capture stuff. So, hey everybody, Dishadar here, and this video is talking about interfaith dating. Dun dun dun. Anyway, done with the theatrics. So, interfaith dating is one of those tricky topics that is inevitable eventually. Because our faith isn't practiced by a ton of people, proportionate to the amount of people who do not follow it. So, because of that, it's only a matter of time before you find someone you really like, that guy or girl or both, and then you want to date them, and eventually, you want to date them, and for some, it depends on the individuals involved, but you know, um, you date, and then of course it comes, you're pagan and whatnot, or of course the other person most likely isn't pagan, because if they're a pagan, you would know, or it could be held a secret inside of the quote unquote room closet. So, what does one do? Should one do it? Of course, the simple answer is yes. I mean, I don't see why, because like I said, there are not a lot of pagans out there, as far as you know, compared to people who don't follow, like I said. But if faith is important for some people, faith is not important. You can be whoever you want to be. You can be Catholic, you can be Jewish, you can be pagan, you can be a witch, you can be whatever you want to be. It doesn't matter. For some, so long as you're a good person at the end of the day, not an issue. But for others, you know, it includes more than personality. Faith for some is important. So if you have somebody who where faith either is very important or someone who is very interested in others, religion or whatnot, then of course it's like, should you date this person? And it, like I said, it depends on who the person is and what their outlook is, because the key to any good relationship is having communication. If there is no communication, if there is no trust, then the relationship will never exist. And if it does exist, it won't last very long, because eventually, it's just going to turn up, and it's going to be like, okay, you sitting in bed one night and you're like, why am I with this person? And you're seriously thinking about why you're with this person. It's not because it's an emotional thing, it's because you actually think, maybe I should leave this person. And I haven't personally been with someone where faith mattered a lot. I have been in interfaith relationships, because I have never dated another pagan. Well, one time, I happened to date someone who was Christian, and then they wanted to convert to be my faith, because they, for the wrong reasons initially. It was, because they wanted to, be able to strike up more than the normal conversation, because, if it's like, hey, Dishadar, what are you doing? You're like, I am studying for this ritual. I'm writing this ritual. Oh, what is it about? And it's like, I don't feel comfortable telling you. It gets to the point where it's like, I'll tell you what I'm doing, but as far as like actually explaining what my faith is about, I don't feel comfortable, because it's like, I know we're dating, but it's like something I don't, it's not the first thing I want to do is, hey, let's talk about, Dishadar's faith. No, I'd rather not. So, there was that conversion experience, and then actually, like, okay, if you're going to convert, don't convert and take it lightly and think, that's going to keep us together, nothing like that. But, so I guess technically I did, date another pagan, but after me and her broke up, she converted to just straight up atheism and like, fuck the world, and left. So I was like, okay. But anywho, that was my first time dating someone who initially was Christian and converted. But for the most part, every other person I've dated, they've held strong to their faith, which isn't a problem. I don't try and convert anybody, because it's like, why would I want you to convert me? So, like I said, you got to have that trust. You got to have that open communication, and you got to be with someone who's open minded, and it takes a special person to see who you are authentically without any kind of without any illusions or whatever, just seeing you as your true self, and then being like, hey, no matter what you are, I'll still love you. It takes a special person to, be that man, be that woman enough to, be that open, be that honest, and be that loving towards you. Now, of course, when it comes to raising children, that's where things tend to get a lot dicier. I remember when I was working one night, and I asked some of my fellow coworkers about interfaith dating and actually having children with with someone who's a different faith than you. And for the most part, it was like, no, you couldn't. I mean, you would date them, but as far as like children were concerned, they couldn't date someone who's a different religion. And it was because like there'd be a big conflict, like, you know, how would the children be raised? What faith would they be raised in? And that whole thing, which is understandable. But like for me personally, I mean, would I marry and have kids with someone who wasn't pagan? Yeah, I could. But as far as how would the children be raised, that's where for me, that's where things like come to the ultimate halt, because it's like I can love someone who's not pagan, I can be with someone who's not pagan, but raising the children, how would that work? Because I would want to raise my children pagan. They don't have to be pagan, but actually learn about what the faith is about and everything, and have family practices and family traditions that are centered around that lifestyle, that religion. you know and I would have an issue personally. I mean, I have to be honest. Right now, as of this day, in this January, let's say the 13th or 14th, 2014, Dishadar is saying that he would have a serious issue raising kids with someone who wasn't pagan or who wasn't open to it. I mean, because say they were Christian, I have my issues with Christianity. It's nothing to the point where I wouldn't love someone who wasn't Christian, who was Christian, because of course I would love someone who was Christian or whatnot. But as far as teaching my children about it, that's where things become, serious. No, for some others, that's not a problem. But, like I said, you have to be able, if things start to get really serious, I mean, beyond, to the point of like marriage and children and all that, there has to be that discussion of how, if we had children, how would the children be raised? Because for most, it seems like it's not that big an issue. For a lot of people, I won't say for most. For many people, it doesn't seem like it become an issue until it actually happens, and then suddenly you're like, why didn't we talk about this? Why didn't I talk to so and so about it? And you have to be able to preempt it. You need to be able to go ahead of time and just figure out how that whole thing would work, because I can understand some people who are pagan who wouldn't want to raise their children pagan because they feel as if they're, brainwashing their child into that. They feel like they're indoctrinating their child, as in, like, when they were raised, before they were parents, when they were kids, their parents forced Christianity on them. So it's like they don't want to change their faith to paganism, marry someone, have kids, and then raise their children doing what they may see as doing the same thing. But there's a big difference between indoctrinating your child, saying you have no choice but to do this and that, and actually talking to your child and actually letting them know that if they chose to, if they want to, they would like to, they can, take part of the family practices and whatever that would entail. They don't have to do it, because that's the difference. Indoctrination, you have to do it. You don't have a choice in it. When you're just having a healthy, loving relationship with your children, then, you're not indoctrinating them. You're leaving that choice up to them, but you're raising them in a certain way. And they don't have to be of the religion, but, there are some values that every religion centers upon. There a lot of religions usually have around the same things in common, certain things in common. But when it comes to the religion's focus, that's where things change. So, if I had kids, at first I was skeptical about raising my children pagan because I had that same issue as far as I don't want it to be as if I'm forcing them like I was forced into Christianity and I didn't have a choice. I'd get disciplined if I didn't want to go to church or if I didn't want to, say prayer a certain way, anything like that, because I was forced. I was indoctrinated into that. Now, if I was given the choice, that'd be different. And I would want to do it, but eventually I'd fall out of it because it's like, this faith isn't for me. Come on, because I know you want to feel from the wind. So spoiled, my puppy. So, yeah, think about it. Don't always, my advice, because I'm no relationship expert by any means, as you can tell. But I mean, advice is advice. I would say before you do anything, talk to it. Time check. Talk about the whole thing with your significant other. What do you want? What do you want? He's just sitting there licking my wrist and smelling it. I am not made of food. Anyway, talk about it with your significant other or others. You want to make sure that you have that openness and that love and everything, because like I said, there is no real relationship if there isn't that love, that trust, that openness and understanding. So definitely do that. And, just think about it. What would you do? Because most of us are, first generation pagans. So what would your I have issues saying traditions. I don't know why. What would your traditions be? What would they entail? How would you do it? What if they didn't want to do it? How would it be? Would it be changed based upon who the other significant faith is? Would there be a mixture of it? You look into these things. I mean, even though like right now I'm single, hey, no problem with it. But it's something that you want to think about. So I'm 20 years old, so I'm getting around that age of like finding that finding love and all that good stuff. And something you just want to preempt, you want to get that knowledge and you want to think about it, so in case something does happen, you'll be okay. And you'd already have covered it and thought about it and planned everything out. So just take that in mind, and just take things in stride. Because even if someone at first says, "Oh, I can't date you because you're pagan," eventually, let them. Sometimes they need that thought process to actually review what is the faith about, learning about it, and then being able to get back to you. It doesn't always happen like that, but I mean, it's a possibility. So just wanted to throw that out there. So anywho, that's the end of the video of pagan dating. So thanks for watching. Links down below for other ways you can contact me, blogs, videos. Subscribe if you would like to, share with your friends, all that good stuff. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you have a good day. See you later. Bye.